Good morning and welcome to another video. You guys absolutely loved the Turbo Lexus content in the last one, so we are keeping the ball rolling and getting the Lexus ready for a drift event. Before we go driving though, I do have a bit of a to-do list. I've got some essential maintenance, so I'm going to be replacing the timing belt on the 1G, as well as doing some must-do drift mods that I think are essential for the IS200. I'll also be covering a little bit about suspension geometry and wheel alignment setup on a low horsepower car that's going to a track that's not really low horsepower friendly, as well as answering the question that many of you guys have been asking, will the Turbo 1G be a reliable drift car? With that all said and done, let's jump into the video. I've gone ahead and gotten myself a genuine Toyota timing belt kit with a timing belt, idler, tensioner, cam and crank seal. So I'm going to go ahead and rip the old timing belt off, replace everything and time the engine back up. A little tip before you go ripping old seals out, always put your new one in front and make sure it's the right size. You'd be surprised how many times manufacturers send you the wrong part. All right, with our timing belt done and our oil leaks fixed, it's time to move on to the inside of the car and fix the most annoying thing about this chassis. In most cars, the handbrake is usually closest to the driver, at least cars from this era. And for some reason, Toyota decided to stick it closest to the passenger on the left side of the center console, which is super frustrating because the shift knob and the handbrake lever run into each other. I didn't film it, but I did actually take this car to a track day. I did a Friday night drifts at QR, and this was doing my head in all night. I would reach for the handbrake and either jam my hand up against the shift knob, or I would just knock the car completely out of gear. I could fix this by running a dual caliper setup or an inline hydro. However, I don't really want to do that. The handbrake itself actually works really well. It's a drum handbrake inside the rear disc, so it hooks up perfect, but just the position of the handle is crap. So I've used a bit of brain power and come up with an idea that I think might work.
Brother,
Luckily for me, the IS200 came right-hand drive and left-hand drive. Typically when manufacturers make cars to suit multiple applications or countries, they will actually pre-stamp the unibody to suit all of the options. A good example of this is an automatic Skyliner Silvia will actually have pre-stamped in the firewall the location of the manual master cylinder. The same goes with this handbrake. On the left-hand drive models, the handbrake is actually on what I would call the correct side for right-hand drive, which is closest to the driver. And you can see what I mean here. Obviously the handbrake is mounted on the left, but these two holes are an equal distance from the outside of the tunnel, which would tell me that the left-hand drive models use this hole to mount the handbrake. And if we pay attention to the front here, you can see the same dimple on the side of the tunnel. So in theory, all I'll have to do will be drill out those two stamped holes, bend this bracket around the other way to suit the hole on the right side of the tunnel, and bolt everything up. So I actually ended up finishing this off camera. All I had to do was cut this L bracket off and flip it around the other way, flatten out and put a slight twist in the front arm, and then bolt it to the tunnel. There's enough give in the handbrake cable to bolt up like normal, and it's on this much of an angle from factory, so it's not a problem, but it is nice and tight, easy to use, and completely out of the way when the car's in gear. Much better. With the handbrake now on the correct side of the car, it's time to fix one more thing about the interior, which is getting rid of the stock seats in place for a fixed back bucket. Drifting this car and sliding around and trying to hold myself in place while driving is terrible, but luckily for me, I've got a pair of arguably some of the coolest seats ever made. Check this out. So to get this seat in the car, I've gone and got myself a genuine ride side mount seat rail set. Let's get the seat onto here and then the whole thing into the car. With the seat in the car, it's nice and sturdy. I'm no longer going to be sliding around. But what have I actually got myself here? I've got a HKS Powers Zeta 1. I don't actually know the origin of these seats. I've been told they came in HKS demo cars. How accurate that is, I'm not sure. All I know is I've seen next to none of them in a car before. So I believe they're pretty rare and they're an incredibly cool seat. I love the Zeta 1 shape, and for a 90s car, technically this is still a 90s car. It's a 99. It's very period correct. So if you're into that kind of thing, that's cool as well. With With everything on the inside sorted, we've just got a couple things left until we can go drifting, and next on the list is a must-do suspension mod for your lowered IS200. This car does already have fully adjustable coilovers all round, as well as some front and rear camber arms and rear toe arms. But with all that adjustability, it still drives like crap. Luckily, there is a bolt-on solution for this, and that is a roll center correction kit. I've gone with the hard race roll center kit, and I'll be coupling that with some FDF fully adjustable Castor arms. I did have a full lock kit planned for this car, however, unfortunately due to some manufacturing issues, it hasn't shown up. So I'll just be running the roll center kit with Castor arms on stock lock. And I'm just going to run through really quickly why the roll center kit is essential for your lowered IS200. Essentially what happens when you lower your vehicle is you lower the vehicle's center of gravity, which is a good thing, but you also alter the angle of the suspension arms, which changes the vehicle's roll center, and it lengthens the distance between the roll center and the center of gravity, which increases body roll, reduces steering feel and self-steer, which is obviously horrible for a drift car. Now, the job of the roll center kit is to correct the angle of the suspension arms and bring the vehicle's roll center back closer to the vehicle's center of gravity, which decreases body roll, increases steering response and feel, as well as vehicle self-steer. So with that all said and done, let's get it in the car. This is super easy to install. 2 bolts gets the hub off the knuckle. This just slides on the factory dowels, and then there's 2 more dowels on top for your hub to relocate back on the knuckle. I forgot to mention, the kit does come with longer bolts. Alright, with the new arms and the roll center kit fitted, we just have a couple things left. But before we jump into that, I would like to make a pretty cool announcement, and that is my partnership with HPA, High Performance Academy. If you saw my last video where I turboed and tuned my IS200, I gave them a little shout out at the end. They saw that video and contacted me and said they'd love to work together. I myself have been a student of HPA since 2019 and love the service they provide, so I said, of course, I would love to work together. If you don't know who they are, they're an online performance-based school, and they provide in-depth courses on motorsport topics such as tuning, suspension geometry and wheel alignment, all the way through to motorsport fabrication. I myself learnt to tune solely off HPA's online courses. Even if you have no prior knowledge of a topic, they teach you everything you need to know from start to finish. And once you purchase a course, it's yours for life. So if you're like me and love the technical aspect of modifying cars and want to learn more about some things mentioned in this video, like roll center, camber, Castor, toe and Ackerman, I'll leave a link below to their suspension tuning course, and you can use code Racelab50 for $50 off any course of your choice. A big thank you to HPA. And with that said and done, let's move on to my most recent marketplace impulse buy. Unfortunately, I was running on a time crunch and didn't have time to go in depth with my thoughts behind my alignment setup, so I'll just run through the spec. For the rear, I decided to go with a little bit of a slippery setup considering the low power output of my car, running negative 1.5 degrees of camber, 0.5 to 0.7 mil of static toe out. Normally toe out isn't ideal, but because the rear suspension design of the IS200 toes in on squat, this minimal amount of static toe out shouldn't hurt too much. For the front, I went with a pretty basic ballpark setup with negative 4 degrees of camber to help with tyre contact on lock, 7 degrees of Castor for lots of self-steer, and 3.5 mil toe out per side to help with steering response. For this one, we're down at Morgan Park for the Drift the Downs event, and we brought the IS200 with all the new mods in hopes that it goes really well. First up, I'm just going to mount my kit, and then I'll go find somewhere to take some nice photos and a couple of little B-roll shots of it while it's all pretty before I potentially blow the kit off today. So let's jump into that. Alright, so basically the way this works is Morgan Park is one track, but there's actually 3 separate layouts. Track B, C, and Z. Z is the one I'm at now, which is basically like a little kidney shape. Z is quite a fast, long run up to a quick right-hander, to another long run up to a little S section. And then you've got B, which is the one you can see from the pits. I can't really explain the layout. I'll just put a photo of the track layout. I've already done a couple laps feeling out the car. The roll center correction kit has helped tremendously. I have steering feel back. The car self-steers great. My only complaint, I wish I had more lock. Just running out of lock. Popped a tire. Steering's way off, so I think I might have bent something, but I've also popped my driver's side rear. So I'm just gonna limp it back to the pits and I'll check everything out there. After spending a bit of time shaking the car down at C-Track and getting a feel for how it drives, I wanted to move on to the slightly more technical and faster layouts at the event, so I headed down to B-Track. See what line he takes, eh?
Save on the handbrake. That rollback could have been deadly.
Yeah, made that middle section work.
Yeah, it actually did.
Just follow someone faster. For that bump. I was like, oh no!
Bro, that first one we were so deep, I was like ready for the wheel to drop. I was
I have to hug it hard from that first one to the next one to make it.
Yeah, I can't make it. Or I might be able to if I go fast enough in third, but it understeers a little bit on entry.
If I enter early, I can like cut the corner here.
Yeah.
Go shallow out.
Yeah.
Such a weird thing.
I gotta be careful because I got no side bite either.
Sweet.
clutch button in.
Right.
I'll try Z track and then you can have a steer. I'm that guy. Stock lock is so annoying. Alright, it's just started raining, so it's going to be incredibly slippery. I considered calling it, but I figured I might as well just finish off the rest of the tyre that I have on the back. Have a little bit of fun in the rain before I pack up early and head home. Hopefully in the rain I can link this or stretch this first corner out on B track. It's like just a little bit too long for the grip and power that I have. But hopefully the rain just helps keep me sideways out wide. That was more fun than I thought. The rain is definitely a very good buffer for this car. Stock lock is still very tricky, especially in the wet. You gotta really be on the steering. Gets out from under you pretty quick, but yeah, it's a bit of fun. It actually lets me link pretty much the whole track when I don't bugger up. That was fourth. When I came around here last lap, I accidentally clicked fourth, not second. I thought it felt really funny. Oh, those potholes are deadly. That's a really awkward section with half of it coned off, and then you drive straight into a pothole. So it's like, I don't know where to go. Lock doing me dirty. Oh, it's gripping up a little bit here. Not gonna lie, that was a very sloppy run, obviously. But I'm gonna go, seeing as it's a little bit colder and there's some rain down, I'm gonna go try the fast line track, which is Z track. Hopefully with a little bit of wet weather assistance, I'll be able to make something happen here. It was a bit rough in the dry. Yep. Snaps it. Rookie. Something's upset. Whoa! Whoa, okay, I definitely bent something. Holy. Oh well. That's what I get for trying to be a dickhead on the straight. Well, I found the culprit, got the wheel off, and somehow the nut for the upper camber arm in the rear has come off. Even though it was a Castor nut with a split pin through the ball joint, it came off. Should be an easy fix though. Threads don't look too damaged, just need to find a nut, a split pin, do it up, and I'll see how it drives, but I might load it up. I got a pretty big drive ahead of me. Alright, and that concludes the IS200's first drift event. Overall, I would say it was a successful weekend. It definitely wasn't my best driving, but most importantly, I had a bunch of fun and a bunch of laughs with some mates at me trying to throw around this low and slow drift car. It was definitely a step in the right direction for this car, and doing this event highlighted a bunch of things that I want to change. First of all, even though this car does have coilovers all round, they are all blown. My front shocks are that blown that I was bouncing off the bump stock all weekend. So with blown shocks, stock lock, and a very loosely set up car, it definitely wasn't the easiest thing to drive. I'm still waiting on my lock kit to arrive, and when that does, hopefully I have the funds to put a full new set of coilovers in this, and I'll definitely be making some alignment adjustments, as it's, even with the low horsepower, a little bit too loose for my liking. And speaking of the low horsepower, I definitely want to be winding some more boosts to make some more power. If I can make around the 210 kilowatt, like what a stock 350Z makes, that would be fantastic. Even though it's not the fastest or best drift car, can I say it's reliable? Absolutely. I sat this car on limiter for 2 days straight. All I used was, I think, 6 tires total and maybe a tank and a quarter of fuel. So I definitely think it passes the reliable test. With that all said and done, I don't want to drag this outro out too long. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment below some stuff you want to see me do, either to this car or my other builds. I will be diving into some Skyline content next. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.